Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Jai Radha Kala Chanji, Radha Kala Chanji Radhe. Jai Radha Govinda, Radha Govinda Radhe. Jaya Jaya Jagannath, Jagannath, Baladev Jaya Jaya Subhadra. Jaya Gauranitai, 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 Jaya Gauranitai. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Gurudev, 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev. Gaur Premanande. Reading from Canto 9, text, chapter 19, text 24, sorry. Yeah. Okay. Asevitam Varshapugan. Oh, yeah, sure. Shadvargam Vishayeshu Saha Shanena Mumuche Nidam Jata Paksha Iva Dvija Asevitam Varshapugan Shadvargam Vishayeshu Saha Shanena mumuche nidam Jatapaksha iva dvija. Asevitam varshapugam Shadvargam vishayeshu sa Shanena mumuche nidam Shanena mumuche nidam Jatapaksha iva dvija. Asevitam varshapugam Shadvargam vishayeshu cha Nenamuche nidam Jatapaksha ida dvija. Translation. Having enjoyed sense gratification for many, many years, O King Parikshit, Yayati was accustomed to it, but he gave it up entirely in a moment, just as a bird flies away from the nest as soon as its wings have grown. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. That Maharaj Yayati was immediately liberated from the bondage of conditioned life is certainly astonishing. But the example given herewith is appropriate. A tiny bird, dependent fully on its father and mother even to eat, suddenly flies away from the nest when its wings have grown. Similarly, if one fully surrenders to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one is immediately liberated from the bondage of conditioned life. As promised by the Lord Himself, Aham Tvam Sarva Papebhyo Mokshayishyami Masucha. As stated in the Srimad Bhagavatam 2.4.18, Kirata Hunandra Pulinda Pulaksha Abhira Sumbha Yavana Khashadaya Ye Annecha Papa Yad Aparashrayashraya Shuddhyanti Tasmai Prabhavishnave Namaha. Kirata, Huna, Andhra, Pulinda, Pulaksha, Abhira, Shumbha, Yavana and the Khasa races and even others addicted to sinful acts can be purified by taking shelter of the devotees of the Lord, for He is the supreme power. I beg to offer my respectful obeisances unto Him. Lord Vishnu is so powerful that He can deliver anyone at once if He is pleased to do so. And Lord Vishnu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, can be pleased immediately if we accept His order by surrendering unto Him, as Maharaj Yayati did. Maharaj Yayati was eager to serve Vasudev, Krishna, and therefore as soon as he wanted to renounce material life, Lord Vasudev helped him. We must therefore be very sincere in surrendering ourselves unto the lotus feet of the Lord. Then we can immediately be liberated from all the bondage of conditioned life. This is clearly explained in the next verse. Om Ajnanatimrandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktavrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So we will be discussing this particular shloka based on some of the wonderful points Srila Prabhupada has shared with us. to give a quick context, as we all have been hearing and reading about this passage of the Srimad Bhagavatam, the ninth canto, when I was contemplating on these stories, one thought that crossed my mind was Srimad Bhagavatam is such a revered and the topmost uh, writing of Vyasadeva, the final word of Vyasadeva. And there are 2 chapters dedicated to King Yayati. The previous chapter is King Yayati regains his youth, and then the next chapter is King Yayati achieves liberation. So must be a special personality or character that has mentioned like 2 chapters dedicated to him. And there, obviously, everything that is mentioned in the Srimad Bhagavatam is meant for us as practicing sadhakas to learn from. So the primary lesson that I felt to be learned from this story, I mean, we all know the snapshot of this story is King Yayati was born in a very royal lineage in the Chandra Vamsha. Like last time I spoke, the same theme was going on. It is explained that from Lord Brahma came Atri, from Atri came Soma, from Soma came Buddha, from him came Pururava, from Pururava came Ayu, from Ayu came Nahusa, and from Nahusa came Yayati. He was one of the 5 brothers. He was second in line. Yati was his elder brother. And by some act of providence, he was given the throne. As per the lineage, the eldest person gets the throne as a succession. When King Nahusa decided to renounce his kinghood, he asked his eldest son, Yati, and he refused because he had seen what King Nahusa went through. I won't go into that story, and then it came to King Yayati. So Yayati, as if you see the acts of providence in his life, it starts with suddenly getting the kingdom when he is not supposed to. And then the story continues where again, one fine day when he's going for hunting, he finds a woman in a ditch and helps her and ends up marrying her. That is Devayani, the daughter of Shukracharya. And then along with his wife comes a maid servant who is Sharmishta, who is the daughter of a king. And he concedes to her desire to have children. And because of that, he gains a curse from Shukracharya that he will lose his youth. So I was just contemplating the various the activities of providence that can happen. Very unexpected things can happen in the life of anybody for that matter. So he had to lose his youth. Then he again, through requesting his son Puru, the youngest son Puru, he got his youth back. And then he tried to enjoy with his youth for many, many, many years. That's what this passage mentions. Till the point of realizing that there is something beyond that I have to experience as happiness. And it cannot be only enjoying the happiness through the senses. So the first thought that crossed my mind is obviously the biggest lesson from this particular pastime is that it is impossible to satisfy the senses. It is impossible to gain happiness through material ways. King Yayati tried it for many, 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 many years. He even got the boon of exchanging his youth or old age with youth, and still he could not. At some point, he had to come to this point of surrender where he had to look for something else than just these engagements. That's why it is said that spiritual life may be difficult, but material life is impossible. Because spiritual life, it is I consider it a game of patience. You have to be very patient and continue, keep doing. Though we do not see, it takes time to see the results sometimes. Sometimes the results are immediate, sometimes the results take a little time to manifest. So for King Yayati, he kept trying to experience happiness through this, through engagement of the senses. And one thing, for the benefit of our understanding, we must, if we dive deep into this concept of the enjoyment through the senses, especially the attraction between the opposite gender, this, in one sense, if we see the purpose behind it, Lord Brahma, when Lord Karanodakshai Vishnu, when Karanodakshai Vishnu expands into different universes through his pores, in each universe there is Shirodakshai Vishnu, and from him comes, first a lotus. So it is said that the lotus flower is not Brahma's creation. It was there even before Lord Brahma. That's why we say everything as Kamala Dala Jala. Everything is like lotus. Lotus means something is divine and spiritual. It is beyond material creation. So on that lotus, Lord Brahma came, and he heard the words Om, I think Tapa, and through that he gained the knowledge to be the tertiary, to create the material universe in such a way that there could be tertiary creation. He was a secondary creator. Karanodakshaya Vishnu is the primary creator, and he designed, through the knowledge that was given to him, this material existence, the opportunity for the souls to experience being the controller, proprietor and enjoyer through material means, was designed by Lord Brahma. And that's why he created two species in each, two varieties of each species. There is the male and the female aspect. And in each species, this formidable force was given or imparted. So that's why we see, as jivas, as spirit souls, as we understand from the Shastric knowledge, we have to go through all these experiences in different species to reach the human form of life. And in each species, we have experienced this formidable force of attraction between the two varieties of the body that Lord Brahma created. When we see a roach, a cockroach, or a bug, or a fly, we don't even distinguish whether it's a female or a male. It is obnoxious to the human eye. But when we were in that particular species, that same female cockroach or the male cockroach was, because of that formidable force that is implanted, was attractive. And it is an instinct, Mahabharata explains that, right? What is that? I forgot that words. The dharmo hi eko adhiko vishesh. I am getting the second word. So the eating, mating, sleeping, ahara nidra bhaya maithunascha samanya etad pashubhi naranam dharmo hi eko adhiko vishesha dharmena hina pashubhi saman. So this four instincts of eating, mating, sleeping and defending are there throughout each and every species. It's only in the human form of life the opportunity is there to outgrow it or overcome it. So how does this opportunity manifest or lend itself? It is basically like this attraction, this formidable force between, and like I mentioned, it is there for the purpose of tertiary creation. But with the influence of time, especially as Kali Yuga progresses, it gets misused only for gratifying the senses. And it even manifests into forms like attraction between the same gender, for that matter. In today's day and age, we hear that. So it's a very, like if you keep curd outside for a while, it starts getting sour. So to the extent the conditioned soul stays in the material environment, it starts getting degraded with these same influences. And that's why it is said, right, the Trividam Dwaram Narakeshu, the three gates to hell are Kama, Krodha and Lobha. This, if they are not checked, they can actually lead to the degradation of the soul. So somewhere the interjection has to be there into the life of every jiva, where the opportunity is provided to understand how do we get out of this formidable force. And that is possible through, of course, like in the purpose Prabhupada explains in the shloka, how the by the mercy of the devotees of the Lord, the Lord, we are not pure enough for the Lord to appear and talk to us in that sense, but through his devotees he interjects our life, he talks to us, he gives us the path to come out of it. And the attraction of the opposite gender can only be overcome to the extent we develop attraction to the divine. It is in opposite directions. Like if you think of a magnet and two strong or iron filing and two strong magnets on either side, whichever magnet attracts you most, you go in that direction. That's the iron filing. So similarly for the jiva as a tatastha shakti, we can either be attracted or be engaged by the maya shakti or by the yoga maya shakti or the divine energies of the Lord. So this, the only way, Krishna explains that in the Gita also. Daivi esham mama maya duratya mame vai prapaddante maya metam tarantite gunamayi mama maya duratya. So Krishna explains that the only way to overcome my illusionary energy is by surrendering unto me. And that is the point that Prabhupada is trying to explain, that unless we reach that point of surrender, it is very difficult to overcome. And definitely by our own endeavors, we do not have the power, we do not have the ability to overcome these forces. It requires, we require help, we require divine help. That's why we agree to practice the process of sadhana bhakti, we take initiation. That's where we derive some bala. We derive some spiritual strength from our spiritual masters, because once we take shelter of the spiritual master takes responsibility for our spiritual journey by praying for us, predominantly through his Vani, his or her Vani, and through whenever we get association, of course, also. So this particular experience of joy is nothing new for human life, right? Prahlad Maharaj explains that also in the Bhagavatam. Matirna Krishne parato swatova mito vipaddeta grahavartanam adhanta gobir vishatam tamishram puna puna charvitas charvananam. He explains that with our endeavors and by others' instructions, if our mati, if our intelligence is not directed to Krishna, eventually it leads to more and more degradation. Mitobi paddeta adanta gobir mishatam tamishram. So the senses become so ravaging that they lead us to more and more hellish conditions. And that is what he's saying, that puna puna charita shravanam. It is actually as compared to chewing the chewed. It is nothing new that the soul is experiencing. It is the same kind of pleasure, but it is like trying to chew the chewed. We are trying to, like kids. When I was a kid, I used to love chewing the chewing gum. And initially there's a lot of nice sweetness that comes out of it, so you keep chewing it. But after some time, that is gone. It's just dry, but you cannot stop. You have to keep chewing it like that. So that is how the formidable force of attraction between the two different types of bodies that Lord Brahma has created continues, and that continues the material existence forever unless it is worked upon. And the point, some of the things that for us to learn through the purport is, how do we really reach that point of surrender? In the Nectar of Instruction, Rupa Goswami explains, right? Utsahat nishchayat dhairya tat tat karma pravartanat. So we have to exhibit utsaha, we have to exhibit enthusiasm, we have to exhibit determination. And at some point in time, our enthusiasm, our determination will also begin to fail. That's when we have to exhibit dhairya, we have to exhibit patience. His Holiness Radhanath Maharaj once mentioned in his one of his classes that patience is a symptom of surrender. You know, if we continue to practice our sadhana bhakti and like we all experience that sometimes it feels that nothing is happening. It is the same. The senses. Though we understand this, at least at the information level, if not at the realization level, we understand this that the senses, the mind, the intelligence, they are all working against us till they are purified, and we have to overcome their dictations. But many a times it is just because it is not a realization. It is like there are three stages of knowledge: jnana, vijnana, and sakshatkar. Right? At the Vigyan level, we start applying the knowledge, and at Sakshatar, we completely realize it. And then, if we are not affected by especially in the spiritual realm, we are not affected by these things. But till we reach that, we have to continue to practice it. And Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, in his Madhurya Kadambini book, he explains how in the different phases of sadhana bhakti, the 5 types of anarthas are gradually vanquished or taken away. And he speaks about avidya, asmita, raga, dvesha, and abhinivesha. Basically, these are the root causes of the anarthas. Artha means something that of value, and anartha means that is waste, right? So these things are useless from a perspective of spiritual realization if you have to reach that point. So asmita means false identification. Avidya means ignorance. And in that he explains this concept of 2 main aspects of avidya are: one is to consider that anything and everything that is we consider ours at this point in time, whether it is physical possessions, whether it is emotional relations, our own body for that matter, to consider that as permanent. That is the first sign of avidya or ignorance. And sadhana bhakti eventually takes that away. The realization dawns at some point in time that these are not permanent. At some point in time, we have to give it up. So that is the first avidya. The second avidya that Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur speaks about is this attraction between the male and female. The creation of Lord Brahma that we said, each species has 2 types of body that gets created. And how do you... so the sadhana bhakti gradually, surely gives us that freedom from that ignorance, that avidya. We can think about it from a practical point of view, like people, like we realize it is the same type of body, even though there are 2 types of bodies that Lord Brahma created. It is the same 5 elements, and we know that it takes for us also, if you think practically, even to be presentable to anybody else other than ourselves. Every morning we have to spend at least 30 minutes to become presentable, to come out in the open. That's how the body is. There's nothing attractive in it. But because of this formidable force, that attraction comes. And that is the avidya that sadhana bhakti aims to clear, cheto darpana marjanam, by continuously chanting, hearing the pastimes and the glories of the Lord, by chanting the holy names of the Lord, like we say nama, rupa, guna and leela, by remembering the names of the Lord, his form, beautiful forms, his various qualities and his pastimes, gradually the purification starts to happen. And like I said, one of the most important uh, qualities that are needed to stay on course, to eventually gain success, is dhairya. That patience. You have to have that patience. Like the examples are given of the bamboo shoot, right? The bamboo plant, if you once you sow the seed, it stays under the ground for a long, long time. You keep putting water, you keep giving water, fertilizer, you do everything conducive for it to grow. For many, many years, it doesn't grow, and to the extent that we may have the doubt whether it will actually grow, or is the seed still there, or it has died. So something similar happens to our Bhakti Lata Bij. All of us have been in the soil of our heart. The Bhakti Lata Bij has been planted by Srila Prabhupada, by our Acharyas, by Guru, by Krishna's mercy. And sometimes we feel, is it fructifying at all? We are putting the water of Shravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam, Vandanam, Padasevanam, Sakhyam, Pujanam, Atmanivedanam, all the 9 processes of bhakti. We are in different levels of bhakti based on how the modes are acting upon us at different times. We engage in these processes. Sometimes it feels that nothing is happening. Why is it that I'm still feeling this influence of attraction, or why I'm still dictated by the senses to try to derive happiness externally instead of deriving it internally? But that is the hope that Prabhupada is sharing in this purport, that we have to patiently keep doing till we reach that point where one fine day suddenly Krishna takes over. And then it becomes very easy. This is not... Okay, we'll change it. So we have to keep practicing till we reach a point where Krishna becomes pleased with us, with our effort. The point is, we are never going to purify ourselves just with our own efforts or endeavors. All we are trying to do through our sadhana bhakti is to attract the attention of the Lord, where He then takes over and immediately grants us whatever the purification we are looking for, right? And talking about the surrender, we'll quickly discuss a little bit about practically how do we think about this surrender. Srila Sanatan Goswami explains that in the Hari Bhakti Vilas, right? Anukulyasya sankalpa pratikulyasya varjanam raksheshyati vishwasto gopatritve varnam sata atmanikshepa karpanya shadavida sharanagati. So these are the 6 limbs of surrender that a practicing sadhaka or sadhana bhakta should be focusing on. So all of us are aware of it. I'll just repeat it for my own purification. Anukulyasya sankalpa. Accepting everything that is favorable for our spiritual progress. Pratikulyasya varjanam. Rejecting everything that is not favorable to our spiritual progress. Raksheshyati vishwasa. Vishwas means the firm faith. There is a difference between Shraddha and Nishtha. When we follow the process of bhakti, we have the steps, right? Starts with Shraddha, Bhajana Kriya, Sadhu Sangha, Anartha Nivritti, Nishtha, Ruchi, Asakti, Bhava and Prem. So the difference between Shraddha and Nishtha is, Shraddha means we have some faith on the scriptures or Guru, Sadhu, Shastra, and some faith, most of the faith in ourselves, and some faith in Guru, Sadhu and Shastra. At the stage of Nishtha, we have more faith in the Lord than we have faith in ourselves. That is the difference between Shraddha and Nishtha. So that stage is what Raksheshyati Vishwaso is, where we have complete faith in the protection of the Lord. that is the point of surrender, right? We see these graphical examples where Draupadi, she was protected. Krishna took the form of her sari only when she reached that point of surrender where she realized that I cannot help myself. So she had some faith in her husbands, in her elders, and her own strength till she realized that it's beyond me. And that's when that point of surrender came, when the Lord, and that's the underlining theme of this discussion, right? Where the moment we reach that point of surrender, it is instant reciprocation of the Lord. So just as we have to be patient in practicing sadhana bhakti, Krishna is also on the other side of it. Krishna is also patiently waiting for us to reach that point of surrender. And that's where our motivation should be, that I just have to keep doing till the point where Krishna feels this is enough. I have tested him or her enough, and now I have to, Tesham aham samudharta mrityu sansara sagara, that I immediately deliver him from this ocean of birth and death. So that is the point that has to be reached by this sixth process. So raksheshati vishwaso gopatritve varanamata, that Krishna is my maintainer. So as devotees, as we practice, we do reach this point where we experience these things in to some extent, right? Anukulyasya sankalpa, pratikulyasya varjanam, rakshayishyati vishwaso, gopatritve varanam tada. Atma nikshepa and karpanya are the two which actually are the final aspects where surrender becomes fully fructified. Where karpanya means we genuinely realize that we are fallen. To the extent we progress spiritually, to that extent we feel the humility and helplessness. If it is the other way around, it means we are not progressing spiritually. If we feel that my sadhana is giving me certain power, certain prestige, certain recognition, certain abilities, certain opportunities, then it is actually against what we have been instructed. The instruction is to really feel that I am completely helpless. That's why we see the prayers of our acharyas, right? Bhakti Vinod Thakur mentions that, right? In his Gopinath Mama Nivedana Shuno. Sakala Tomara Maya, Nahi Mama Bala, Dhyana Sunirmala, Adhina Nahi He Kaya. So he expresses his helplessness, that everywhere your energies are too strong. My body is not in my control. I do not have the power. My mind and senses are not in my control. So please, Mama Nivedana Shuno, please hear my request. So that is the level of surrender. From within, genuinely, that point of surrender has to come for Krishna to then immediately pick us up. So that is the aspect of Karpanya and Atmanikshepa. Atmanikshepa means feeling completely helpless. So that difference is feeling totally fallen and then totally helpless, no control. We cannot get ourselves out. That feeling of surrender completes the 6 limbs of surrender. That's where Krishna takes over. And I would like to end with this story of surrender, where very beautiful story. It comes in the pastimes of Lord Jagannath. How Krishna is eager to accept our surrender. So there was this soul. He was a very brave soldier. His name was Angad Singh. This comes in the. There is a book published in Odisha. Every dham has their own beautiful renditions of the pastimes of the deities in that particular dham. So Lord Jagannath pastimes is a book. I'm sure many of you have read it. There's a story of Angad Singh. So Angad Singh was a very brave soldier in the northern part of India, somewhere near Delhi. The mention is Sanyagra or some province at that point in time. And he was so powerful that because of his prowess, his physical abilities, his expertise, nobody could defeat the king in that area. And the king, because of that, he was very dear to the king. And the king treated him like his own son. He gave him all the facilities to enjoy. And obviously, because he was in that, you need a mode of passion to fight, to kill. You cannot do that in a mode of goodness. So, being in the mode of passion, he got swayed by these. He was not inclined to spiritual practices, whereas his wife was a very great devotee of Lord Jagannath. She was very devoted. She would always look for opportunities to have satsanga, do activities which further oneself in spiritual progress. Now Angad Singh, he would go on battles for the king, and sometimes he would return after 6 months. So one time he had gone on a battlefield, and his wife, being a great devotee, following spiritual practices, once she called a lot of Vaishnavas and her guru. She had a spiritual master, and she invited her guru to, give katha. And he was sitting on the asana and he was giving the katha about the glories of Lord. And suddenly Angad Singh, his battle got over early, so he came back. And when he came home, he saw that his house was full of devotees. There's a person sitting on the asana and giving a class. And he became very angry. And he goes to the asana and he insults the guru and says, "How dare you come to my house without my permission? Please leave immediately." And he insults the spiritual master and all the Vaishnavas, and he asks them to leave. And that breaks the heart of his wife. And she feels, how can he, it's such a tricky situation for the wife, that it's your husband and your husband is insulting the spiritual master. So she was very, so in her mind she thought that I have to perform the duties of a wife. I cannot abandon, but I will, in my heart, I will not accept him as my husband. I will not, talk to him. I'll just serve him, but I'll not talk to him. I'll not show my face to him. I'll just always wear a gungat, this veil. And after some time, when he came to his senses, Angad Singh realized that he did a big mistake, and he actually, broke the heart of his wife. And he was very attached to his wife also. So he begged forgiveness and he said, "Please forgive me. Tell me, how can I do to atone this?" So she said that you have to personally go and invite my guru again and beg forgiveness, and we'll wash his lotus feet, and you have to drink the charanamrit of my guru. That will help. So he does that, and the story goes to say that the moment he does that, like we are discussing, that through the devotees of the Lord, the process it's a catalyst, it gets expedited. So he drinks it, and immediately the symptoms of at least the bhakti starts to, the bhakti lata beej gets implanted, and he starts to practice spiritual processes. And having heard about Lord Jagannath, he had never seen Lord Jagannath, he had never visited Jagannath Puri. So he decided that I will now go and surrender myself in front of Lord Jagannath. And just when he was thinking like that, there is actually some small sub-story. I'll probably mention that also. It gives the glory of the prasadam of Lord Jagannath also. So actually it comes as part of it. So when he developed that desire to go actually in front of Lord Jagannath and confirm his surrender, he got a call again from the king to go for war. And he goes for war, and obviously being a very powerful soldier, he's actually a senapati, he's the commander-in-chief. He defeats that particular province king, and he finds, as a war bounty, he finds a crown, which was a very jewel-studded crown, 101 jewels. And the topmost, the biggest crown was one of the most precious gemstones available. The desire comes to his mind that I will as I am going to Jagannath Puri, I will use this stone as an offering to offer to Lord Jagannath. So it can reside on his throne the next time they give him, Lord Jagannath has 26 special type of outfits. So he thought, I will adorn his outfit with this crown, with particular jewel. So he takes that and he keeps it to himself and gives away everything else. And when he comes back, some of the envious soldiers, they tell the king that, you know what, this Angad Singh has actually stolen the most precious gem, and he'll not give it back. Please ask it back from him. So the king tells him, please give that that gem back, the diamond back. He says, I'm not going to give. I have already mentally offered it to Lord Jagannath, and I'm going to see Lord Jagannath for the first time in my life. So I want to go and offer it to him as my surrender to him. So the king thinks that I cannot kill him, or I cannot order to kill him, because he has been it will be not a good PR. It's not good public relationships to kill. So he devises a mechanism where he forces Angad Singh's sister to poison him. I'm going fast here a little. So she invites, she doesn't want to do it, but out of threat from the king that the king will kill her also and her 2 daughters, she falls for that trap, and she invites Angad Singh for dinner, and she knows that Angad Singh is now a devotee of Lord Jagannath, and he will only accept anything that is offered to Jagannath. So even the poisoned food she first offers to Lord Jagannath. And when he comes, he was always fond of his nieces, the daughter of his sister. So she had told her sister, her daughters, to go away because she didn't want them to also eat the food. So he asked, where is the daughter? She said, he's not here. So he said, I will not eat unless I eat with, it was whenever I came to your house, I always would eat with your daughters. So she becomes afraid, and then she eventually shares that, please forgive me. I was forced to put poison in the food, and now please don't eat it. And he says, but you have already offered it to Lord Jagannath. If you offered it to Lord Jagannath and he had it, then I also should have it. So he actually has it, and the story is like, every time he has it, he becomes more and more Tejasvi. There's certain spiritual aura starts to build around him every time he has that prasad of Lord Jagannath. And the king realizes that he's not going to die like that. So, the Angad Singh realizes when he hears that it was the king's desire to kill him. He feels that before anything else happens, I have to take this stone, this diamond, and go to Jagannath Puri. So he immediately overnight starts to go for that, saying, I'm coming to surrender, my lord. And then again the king sends through his spies, he understands that he's running away. So he goes and they catch him. He's very physically powerful, but somehow he sends a huge army, and they kind of corner him, and they surround him from all over, and there's just one small lake. So Angad Singh says, my lord, there is no escape now. I wanted to come and surrender myself to you in Jagannath Puri and offer this particular diamond to you, but it seems like now it is impossible. I'm not able to. I'm fully surrendered. They're going to catch me and they're going to kill me, or at least they'll take the stone away, even if they don't kill me. So he immediately decides to jump into the lake and throw the stone into the lake. So he throws and the soldiers are aghast seeing this, that they felt that he was so much attached to the stone. How can somebody throw that stone in the lake? And then he comes out in the lake. He prays to Lord Jagannath that I tried my best to surrender and give you this stone, this diamond, but I cannot come. I cannot reach you. I may die the next moment. So please accept my surrender. And he just drops it in the lake. And when he comes out, soldiers catch him, and they take him to the king, and they tell that this is what he did. And the king asks, why are you doing all this? And then he explains that I want to surrender, and I have already offered it to Lord Jagannath. I have full faith that he has already accepted my surrender. So the king says, okay, so let's take you. They bind him and take him, and they said, if that particular diamond is actually with Lord Jagannath, then we will relieve you. Otherwise, we will kill you. So they take him, and when they reach Jagannath Puri, the next day when the altar opens and the beautiful darshan of Lord Jagannath happens, what do they all see? On throne of Lord Jagannath is the same diamond that was there, that Angad Singh had thrown in the lake. So that is the eagerness of the Lord. When we reach that point of surrender, He accepts it, and it's just the endeavors that are required. And when we reach that point of surrender, Krishna is eagerly waiting to accept us in whichever form, irrespective of whatever we have done in our past. He's here to protect and purify us and accept us back in His loving service. So that's what I wanted to share. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Any thoughts, questions, comments?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, thank you for nice class. So many nice pastimes you shared. On the point of, in this verse itself, where we see that King Yayati, he enjoyed for 1,000 years, and then in a moment he was able to focus his mind on Krishna and attain liberation like that. I think Mother Lalita Sundari had brought up this point a few classes before, that we are advised to keep our consciousness very clean, not have any kind of contamination, because when we are focusing, those things come back to haunt us. So that's why our meditation should be to keep our consciousness very clean. So in this instance, we're seeing it wasn't like that. We are in the Bhagavatam, we're focusing that he was enjoying, but he was also king. He was probably fighting, killing, doing a lot of other things, and then also enjoying on the sense level. But he was within a moment able to do that. So how do we understand to keep our consciousness clean or go all out like King Yayati?
Yeah. So you bring up a good point. I also was, like, when I was contemplating and thinking through this pastime, there is no mention of what was the transformative process that he went through. It just switches to the point that after having enjoyed his senses for many years, he surrenders. So yes, that gray area is left, but we don't speculate. So we don't. But we can extrapolate, as they say, and as Prabhupada explains through his purpose, that, like, what I caught on this was somewhere there has to be somebody that, like in this story of Angad Singh also, his wife actually became a catalyst for him to surrender. So somewhere it could mean, like, there are two ways to look at it. One, we could take it as an example, because the stories in the Bhagavatam obviously are meant for us to realize that. So, like we say, experience is the best teacher, but only fools learn that way, because it is better to learn from others' experience than to learn from our own. So probably these are all orchestrations by the Lord, where His own devotees, they come and perform different roles. So King Yayati, like I said, there are 2 chapters named after him in the Bhagavatam, so has to be some special soul, right? So I'm just extrapolating that one aspect, one way to look at it is this: the story is given so that we understand that at that point in time, the jiva could stay in the body for thousands of years, and despite trying to enjoy, end of the day you could not. There's no chance. It's a bottomless pit. There's no question of being satisfied through sensory happiness. So that is one way to look at it. And for us to sometimes the best lesson is we may have to repeatedly keep taking up, because in the Kali Yuga especially, the body is available only for 80 to 100 years at the most, right? So it might not be a good idea to keep coming back and keep experiencing this till we reach a point where now I realize that the senses are useless. So that is one way of coming to a point of surrender, but it is the long way. And it is fraught with dangers that it may degrade the soul. Because every time we go through that path, it generates newer and newer karma, sometimes ugra karma, sometimes bad karma, which the soul has to go through these experiences again and again and again. Punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam, punarapi janani jatare shayanam. The return loop back into the womb, back into the womb, back into the womb can continue just in the pursuit of trying to enjoy and engage the senses. And that's where, instead of, like, there is as I understand, there was a stream of spiritual teachings which became popular, I think, in the mid 70s, 80s. You probably know whom I'm talking about, where they said, try to frustrate your senses. You can engage in anything you want. But that didn't work. The person who propagated this philosophy himself wrote in the book, as he died, that my words failed. So it's not the right thing, even though it can be taken as a lesson that if you want to try it that way, try to satisfy your senses, till at some point, through experiencing worse kind of experiences, the soul, the jiva, will realize that no, I have to try something else to be really happy. That is one way. The other better way, obviously, is that I don't want to even learn everything my own way. Like, I am better off expediting through a more, like, reaching a point of surrender through extreme difficulty, or reaching a point of surrender joyfully. That is the choice, right? You accept, and again, like, we cannot speculate, but Krishna, we see in the life of everybody that Krishna does send this message, or situated in everybody's heart as Paramatma. He does inspire each and every soul to try to turn towards God. Whether the soul, the jiva, accepts or not is the free will. But when the jiva does that, then he doesn't have to go through this longer and more difficult process of trying to get frustrated through the senses, and in the interim just go through a lot of bad karmic experiences. That's my 2 cents, Matajan. You want to use? Yeah.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, thank you for a nice class, putting everything into perspective. So, if I remember correctly, maybe in few classes before, Naimisharanya Prabhu was talking. If I remember, he was the right speaker who mentioned this. Like, he was going behind the lineage, and then he was talking that the same time Yayati was there, Ambrish Maharaj was also there, and Narada Muni comes and tells Yayati, you see your contemporary Ambrish Maharaj, how he's dedicating his life, and see how you are wasting it. I think probably that was the turning point. Right?
Yeah, that's a good.
That was triggered him.
Thank you for, yeah. Like, as I said, somewhere Krishna has to, even in this process of trying to enjoy through the senses, somewhere at the end, towards the end, it has to be some interjection through the Lord and his devotees, where it's not that just by trying to satisfy the senses, suddenly you feel frustrated and Krishna says, now you have surrendered. No, you have to, that is the point when you turn towards the process of bhakti. But since we have already suffered, Krishna is so kind, and he himself feels that, like I said, he's gone through a lot. Let me now expedite it quickly. Now he has learned his lesson. To that extent, if we think about it, the whole concept or the whole design of this material world is meant to bring us to the point of surrender, right? Is it not? It is meant to frustrate us. Especially once we understand this knowledge, we realize that in the pursuit of this happiness, there is a lot of pain that comes along. It's a dual nature material world. With pain comes, with pleasure comes pain, with respect comes disrespect, with success comes failure, right? So it's a, if you pick up one end of the stick, the other end of the stick comes along. You cannot not have it. That's why the mention that you have to go to the place where there is only happiness, there is no misery, Vaikunta, like that. But thank you for sharing. That's a good, I was not aware of that point, so good to know. So, yes, somewhere it was, must have caused the turning point for King Yayati also. So, yes, thank you. Any other thoughts, questions, comments?
This concept of frustrating the senses, but you also mentioned that it doesn't work. But I was just curious, like if that would have worked, probably we wouldn't have ended in Kali Yuga, right? Over years, the souls could have frustrated in senses and realized their relationship with Krishna. Then we didn't need to have spiritual masters. And I'm just curious about that thought, right? Otherwise, the process would have worked naturally. We didn't have any needed. So I'm just curious.
I mean, this just proves the point that even though out of his causeless, out of his love to start with, and then his causeless mercy, Krishna actually facilitates our desires. You know, it's like our, like we say in Hindi, the word is hat. Hat means you strong-willed. You're like, when the child says, I want to have this, and he keeps repeating again and again, and sometimes the parents have to give in. And the parent says, okay, I will allow you, but I'll allow you in a very regulated, I will watch over you, and then I will allow you to experience this. Sorry. And I will allow you, but under my supervision, and in such a way that you realize that this is not good for you. So, to begin with, it is the Lord who has allowed us this facility. That's why this Lord Brahma, he himself, the best jiva in the soul, in his body, in the body of Karnadakshay Vishnu, gets transferred into Garbhodakshay Vishnu, and from there he comes out as Brahma, and he allows him to create all these things, right? So this is just a facilitation of a false experience that you can be the controller, proprietor, enjoyer. That's out of Krishna's causeless love. But at the same time, he is worried about too much of exposure to the Maya Shakti and too much of suffering. In fact, we have heard that when the moment the sadhaka, the soul, the jiva, starts endeavoring in this process of bhakti, Krishna takes it as his personal mission. And every time the bhakta suffers, Krishna also experiences the same pain. We see that, in the life of Prahlad, Dhruva. Krishna himself experiences the pain when they go through this, and to the extent they become so angry at some point. So that's the thing that, to your point, that why do we need it? Because Krishna is eager. Though he has allowed us, at the same time, he also wants us to be back sooner. And in the end, it is said, what I've heard is, it is just like a dream. It is actually, when we read the creation, the second canto, it's like in the dream of Mahavishnu or Karnadakshay Vishnu. He's like in the Karana Sharira. It's like dreams. He's dreaming. And we are part of that dream. And we are further dreaming, as jivas. So when this point of surrender happens and we are back in the spiritual, in our Swarupa Siddhi, it feels as if we were never there. We were never away from Krishna. It was just like a small bad dream, So that is the reason why, even though that process is there, Krishna's desire to bring us back into our original service to the Lord, he keeps also giving this opportunity without touching our free will. He will give this opportunity to expedite our surrender. Does that help, Mother? There are no other thoughts. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Shankararanya Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.